There are over 100 filters that ship with Photoshop, and they're all located under the Filter menu. Now, in Photoshop CS6, these filters have kind of been resorted and recategorized. They're broken down into a lot of smaller groups, but honestly, I just tend to think of filters as either being the more artistic filters that you apply or the more practical filters that you apply, or the more utilitarian filters. So let's just discuss briefly the artistic filters. A lot of the artistic filters are actually found under the filter gallery, and you can add as many of these filters as you want. You can stack them on top of each other, and each filter has its own set of options directly related to that filter. So I just thought we would look at a few examples here of the more artistic filters. You can really do anything from turn your image into a graphic drawing that makes it look like you drew it with pen. You can create a stamp out of it. We can add bas relief. You can make it look like it was done with colored pencil. There's even filters that will distort your images, like pull them to polar coordinates or add waves or spatters to them. So when you have a little bit of time, I would highly recommend that you just go through the filter gallery and take a look at all of the different effects that you can achieve. One of the things that we'll be doing in the next few tutorials is we will be converting our layers to smart objects, because as soon as you have a smart object, when you apply a filter in Photoshop, you can apply that as a smart filter. So again, we're back to that whole non-destructive image editing model that Photoshop is so good at. So we can add as many filters as we want, make sure that they're non-destructive. We can decide how they play with the other layers as far as how they blend, what opacity we set, as well as mask them so we can make them selective filters. Let's take a look at some of the more practical filters. By practical, I mean these are filters that we're going to add to an image to kind of make an adjustment to that image, whether it's blurring the images with the new field or iris or tilt shift blur in Photoshop, or using some of the traditional blurs like the Gaussian blur or the radial blur, and then using those in combination with blend modes and opacity to create special effects. And of course, we can add noise, we can add grain, and we can even remove noise. Again, very practical filters. We can add diffuse glows, which are really nice when you're working with skin tones. We can learn additional ways to sharpen using high pass. And we can even add things like a lens flare or special lighting effects with these more practical filters. The key is going to be that we will convert our layers into smart objects before we add these filters, making them all non-destructive. So in the remaining videos in this chapter, we'll take a look at some of the more important and more representative filters that Photoshop has to offer.